So hey there everybody, this is Craig, and in a recent webinar that I gave on Endnote, a reference library citation manager, I unfortunately made the rookie mistake of recording the presentation while I was on one application and did not share my entire screen, shifted to another application and I was explaining things, and unfortunately the audience could not see it. I was about 8 minutes in before someone clued me in on that. So I said that I would do an update of that video. I'm going to go ahead and take what I'm putting here in conversation, so to speak, on my webpage with all the other videos I have for Endnote. So in this one, I'm covering that segment that I was showing during the presentation, which will complement material that I already have available via YouTube and my website. So let's go ahead and get started. On the screen, you can see here, I have searched for Carl Weick, or the author Carl Weick. In fact, I just did a general search, but I am in a database. The principle here is that as you're doing research, you will be adding items probably to a folder in your database that you want to basically, all the items that you're interested in for that particular search. Once you have what you need, you would go to your folder. And again, I do have already material on this, so I'm just giving a quick overview. And you could go ahead and export these. Now, one thing I like to do is email the PDFs to me. Again, I have a video for that. And then I like to export the citations. So what we would do is select export, and then you would choose your RIS file. And this would send it to Endnote. So basically, at this point, I can click Save, and you will see that it will download a file. What would you like to do with it? I'm going to go ahead and just click Open. When you click Open, it'll essentially import those items into your Endnote Citation Manager if you have the desktop version. And you will see that it's right here under Imported References. Now, you do have a wide range of options here. So these are just, think of them as folders, but you can call them groups. And you can create a group, for example, for a research project you're working on, a class that you are building. Let's say, for example, for me, 411, CMST 411, all the readings that I'm interested in having students read, I could put into there. And what's nice about it is if I take this item and I drag it into, say, case studies here, or I drag it into file here, or I drag it into, let's go with another one, Dr. D's group here. And again, you can have multiple files under a group. So this is all of my groups together here. I can also create folders here in Dropbox and then create submenus. I'm just right-clicking, so just so you know. And when I do that, let's go back to imported references for reset. So there's that one. And if I actually go to 411, you will also see that, well, it should be there. I guess I did not drag it. Let's go ahead and try that again. Let's go to recently added. It will also be under recently added, and let's go ahead and drag it to 411. There we go. It is in there now, and there you have it. So that is important to see there, that you can basically have all of your reference, 2868, and if I put them in separate groups or folders, it will not change the number that I have, so it does not replicate them. If then I update here, it'll update all citations across all the different groups. One principle that I was explaining in the webinar is that you have to keep in mind the idea of garbage in, garbage out. So for example, if I import a reference and I might want to check, is it an actual journal article? Sometimes it might indicate like book section when it is in fact a peer-reviewed journal article, and so you might want to fix that. Just as an FYI, book section is actually book chapter, so do keep that in mind if you are citing a chapter out of an edited book. Then I would go through and I'd make sure that the author's last name and then first name, the year, and I would make sure the title is correct. And a principle that you want to use is sort of APA citation, where you use a capital letter at the beginning and a capital letter after the colon, and also for proper nouns. The principle being here, if I were to tell the citation manager to switch from, say, MLA to APA, where MLA has capitalization for most words in a title and APA does not, it would basically say if it's capitalized, it must be a proper noun, or it must be something that you want capitalized. So it can revert from uncapped to capitalized, but it'll never revert from capitalized to uncapitalized. And the reason for that is because, again, you wouldn't want the word Germany, right, to be uncapped in APA. It would always be capitalized because it's a proper noun. So I always go through, mostly I try to, if it's just adding items to my citation manager that I want to remember, but I'm not necessarily reading or citing it, I might just quickly not make any changes, knowing that I'll have to do that perhaps in the future. But I like to clean up everything, make sure that we have the volume number, the issue number, the page numbers are there, the DOI or DOI is there because that's important to have. And you can even look to see or add items such as keywords, abstracts, and so forth. Great for creating a annotated bibliography, for example, to have all of that. Once you have sort of that done, you know, if I go here and I see that something is not fixed, these are all looking pretty good, by the way. So not much I have to really fix here. I can actually start using the citation manager. So do note that you can attach PDFs. I could just drag and drop PDFs into the folder. I'm not going to do that because I showed that in the presentation, and I also have videos on that. But let's go ahead and just go to 411 here so you can see that when there is a citation attached, it is searchable. It is basically a document that you can mark up and edit right here inside of Endnote. And so what you have here is essentially a reference library, but you also have just a database of all articles and readings. As you can see, I have a ton of articles, and when I get the PDFs and I download them, one thing that I like to do, and again I have a video on this, I like to put them into the folder and follow a naming system. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So as you can see here, I've opened up my file naming system. It'll look different on a Mac. I'm a PC user, but I have Research, Research 2, Research 3, and Research 4. These are all of the folders that have any PDFs that I've obtained out of databases that I want to keep track of. If I were to say go to Research 4, in this folder you will see that I've essentially followed a naming convention where I use last name, first initial, and then some aspect of the title. And this just allows me to search for things very quickly. For example, if I go down to search and I type in Wyke, you will see that it actually brings up some of my citations. I could even search by title and so forth. Nowadays, I don't add any spaces in between them because I like to have them ready for the web. And if you don't put spaces but use a hyphen instead, it just makes the URL cleaner if you were to say put this onto a web page. Assuming you're not violating copyright, of course, don't do that if you would. And also, I also use et al, so I'll use last name, first initial, et al if there's multiple authors. So I just have a convention that I use, whatever works for you. I would definitely have a system, though, for maintaining all of your documents so that they are easy to find even when you're not using your Endnote Citation Manager. Okay, so once you have basically the references that you're working on or want, there are a few things that you can do, and this is to use this as a searchable database. So you can search by last author, or you can search by author, you can search by year, you can search by a whole host of things, keywords and so forth, basically treating your Endnote like a database. Let's go ahead and type in Wyke and see what that pulls up. Now I'm searching specifically for authors, so here's all of the authors with Wyke as one of the authors, one of my favorite organizational theorists. Of course, I can search for myself, which is important because if I use a keyword, almost all of the articles will come up because Engstrom is in the file names for the folders. So this just allows me to easily search for, say, articles that I've written, so a way to keep your own research organized. And then what's nice is, let's say now that I want to use or cite this, let's say that I want to cite the thesis here, alcohol talk. I can actually use these features. So here is the insert the citation into Word, and here's also a way to add a new reference. So just because I don't know if I showed that or not, I will just show you that you can click here to add a new reference manually, so that's always an option for you. But what I want to do is go ahead and actually insert this. Let's say I'm writing the article and I come here. There's a couple of ways to get it into the article. One way is I right-click and I actually use copy formatted reference. If I do that, it's actually going to copy the reference in the citation style that I have selected, and that's going to be under Tools and Output Styles. And you can actually see that there's a whole host that are already there, MLA, Chicago, and so forth. You can actually search for citation style that fits you. The other way to do it is actually click here, and I'm going to click on that, and you will see that it actually imports the citation in APA style and also places it down in the references. Okay, so as you can see here on the screen, we have the citation and we have placed it in the reference. If you recall, I also used a copy formatted approach, and if I hit Control V at this point, I can also place it in there. Just to kind of reiterate and highlight again what that looks like, let's choose a different one. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. I'm going to hit Copy formatted reference, or Control K would have worked, and I can place it in there. Of course, I can type in Ingstrom 2008 as an example, and that is how you can manually add it, but this is actually the citation, and you can see that it's an interactive with Endnote. And the nice thing is now, like once I have a few citations, let's actually just add a couple so that we can demonstrate this a little more thoroughly. Let's go ahead and do the NSF grant. And I'm going to just say I want to create all of these into the article. Okay, which is nice. And again, these are all APA, and I might have to go through and clean up some things. Like I wouldn't want this link here, for example, and I can easily manually change those. But now let's say that I want to change this from APA to MLA or some other format. I would go to here, Endnote 20, and now I can actually just select this and change it to Chicago, and it has changed them. The one it didn't change is the one I added manually, which is why you probably want to be consistent with how you approach your citations using the citation manager. Another thing that you can do, let's actually just add some dummy text for illustration purposes. And now what I can do is go here and I can go insert citation, and I can click insert citation, and I can actually search for a citation. Let's look for Weick, and it brings up anything associated with Weick, and here's that article that I downloaded earlier, and I can go to insert. And we are in Chicago still. Let's go ahead and switch that back to APA. And there you have it. Now, of course, it's a little hard to read, so I'm going to just hit enter. There we go. And you can see there's the citation. You can actually insert citations, like let's say that I wanted to add Weick. Actually, let's not do it that way. Let's go to insert here, insert citation. And I actually want to choose a Weick article, so I'm going to just dial down here and find Weick. And let's say I want to insert that one. And what I can do is choose down here, insert, and choose the type. I can do insert, insert author and year, insert bibliography, insert and exclude year. Let's go ahead and do that. And you will see that it inserts it as such. I would like to note that I personally like to use the copy formatted references and then just manually type my references into the text, and the reason for that is, as you can see, the formatting can get a little weird, and it's up to you if you are, applying to a variety or submitting to a variety of journals and they use a wide range of citation formats. That might be important for you to actually set up your document using the insert citations within the text itself. But I normally do not apply to journals that aren't APA. It's just that's the standard across many disciplines in the humanities now. So with that said, I will just end it with this. One thing you might note is that I have these headings here, and if I hit Control F, I can actually go to headings, and you'll see that I can jump really quickly through the document. And this is just a trick that I have for really being able to write quickly when you are writing an article. A lot of people do not know how to use this, so I thought I'd throw this in as a bonus. You go to Home, and there's the Styles feature here. I'm not going to show you how to set it all up, but once you have it set up, the nice thing is you can just go to Modify, and let's say for some reason you need to change it from black to some kind of color. Let's actually choose Saluki, which is actually 66000 hex code, and there we have the maroon. And I'm going to go ahead and click enter and OK, and you'll notice that it just changed really quickly all of those references into maroon color. Okay, so I hope you found this video helpful, and as I said, this video is just one part of many different videos. You will find those videos helpful, I think, going from beginning to end. I think this would be perfect for around video 2 or 3, but if you've started off this way, now just watch the other videos, and it probably will help you contextualize some of the other things that I showed you in this video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I am on LinkedIn, YouTube, and by email. You go to my personal webpage, craige.info, and you will find all of those links. And I do hope that until the next video, you have a wonderful day.